Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. I got some more news that was released just yesterday. Well, as always, ever today, the day I'm recording this, but yesterday, the day that this video is going out. This is actually something that we kind of already knew about from a recent OCG stream in which these cards were revealed in the OCG. I actually had a lot of fun talking about these cards when they were revealed for the OCG over on the Patreon. If you didn't know, by the way, over on patreon.com/hexlex, I make even more videos that go up every single day that are all exclusive. They're all Patreon only, nothing shared with the YouTube channel. We often watch Duel Lives. I show some bonus games that I don't end up making to the YouTube channel, and a lot of the time when they're released, we talk about OCG cards as well. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to go ahead and check out the link in the description below. Once again, that is going to be patreon.com/hexlex. So let's go ahead and pop up to notifications here and see what we've got. A new selection pack is here. Breaking news, available October 27th. Starting from October 27th, there will be a new Tryout Duel event with loader decks featuring Hallow, the Spirit of Tricks, and Ween, the Spirit of Treats. Try out each monster's deck to see what they're capable of. So these are the cards that I alluded to before that were released in the OCG very recently. And only just a few short days later will they be available in Master Duel. They're coming in the new Tricky Reception Pack. Will you favor high attack or dealing damage? Hallow, the Spirit of Tricks, and Ween, the Spirit of Treats have arrived to present players with a tricky choice. Alongside them are Summon Sorceress, Moon of the Closed Heaven, and many more cards which unveil new strategies. So we'll talk about this here in a little bit because I did see it had its own separate notification, but some of you might be a little bit surprised to see a card like Summon Sorcerers coming back. This card was definitely the bane of the format in terms of just how sheerly powerful it was upon release. However, you might also notice, if you were familiar with playing Summon Sorcerers at the time, that it has a different effect. It has actually been eroded. Now, personally, I don't know about Summon Sorceress in particular because I didn't really play much with this card when it was initially, legal, right? However, from just a general standpoint, I can definitely say that when it comes to erratas, I tend to really not be that big of a fan. For me, the poster child for why erratas tend not to be that great is going to be Brain Control. You look at a card like Brain Control, right, which has since been errated, I believe, to say that you can't tribute the monster or use it as a material or something like that. We can actually take a look here. Let me go ahead and look up Brain Control real quick. But the problem with eroded cards, especially in Master Duel in particular, and we've actually seen examples of this, right, where I remember what the Brain Control errata is. I don't have to look it up. You can only take a monster that was a normal summoned or set, which is obviously in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Not going to be a lot of monsters. So, we might as well talk about this first since we're already talking about the errata. So, Summon Sorceress has the effect text that will be revised. Original text, 2+ monsters of the same type except tokens. So that's the same, it's the summoning requirement, that's not going to change. Old effect was, if this card is League Summoned, you can special summon one monster from your hand in defense position to your opponent's zone this card points to. You can target one face-up monster this card points to, special summon one monster from your deck in defense position with the same type as that monster to a zone this card points to, but negate its effects. You can only use this effect of Summon Sorceress once per turn. So, pretty good card, able to extend into just about any card from your deck, given that it shares a type with a monster in your hand that you're willing to put on your opponent's field. That might sound a little bit narrow, but it's actually really not. And even if the effect is negated, there are, of course, graveyard effects. It could be revived later and then use its effect. There's a lot of potential for this type of effect to be abused. So definitely understandable why the card got banned. I'm not arguing against that. The revised text reads as follows. If this card is Link Summoned, you can special summon one monster from your hand in defense position to your opponent's zone that this card points to, but negate its effects. Then you can special summon one monster from your deck in defense position with the same type as that monster, but negate its effects. If you summon from your deck this way, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, except monsters with the same original type. You can only use this effect to summon Sorceress once per turn. So I didn't even really think about this until I read the fact that it negates the effects of the monster you summon from hand as well. But that alone could also actually potentially be abused for lingering or continuous floodgate effects, right? The same kind of stuff that Albion rather, Sanctifier would abuse as well. But As you can see here, you're locked into summoning from that one type for the rest of the turn, right? That you summon off of Summon Sorceress. So that's definitely going to be a pretty major restriction. But, again, it's understandable, like, why a card would have a restriction like this with that kind of effect. And it's understandable why the original Summon Sorceress did end up getting banned, right? But one thing that I'm just not fond of in general, as I alluded to before, is erratas, right? So Brain Control, as I was mentioning earlier, I never finished this point. Let me circle back on that. So Brain Control was errata to say that it could only take control of monsters that were normal summoned or set, which obviously makes the card pretty bad. This is a problem for multiple reasons. One, Change of Heart. We're at a point in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Change of Heart un-errataed is fine to exist at 3. So, like, that kind of begs the question, okay, well, what's Brain Control doing errataed? Because if Change of Heart is fine at 3, then unerrataed Brain Control would also be totally fine at 3, right? The original effect. This is also a problem, however, for legacy formats, right? And as I was, about to say before, we've seen this problem crop up in Master Duel, where Master Duel will do like a time travel event, right? Well, they'll go back to a past format, but the problem is they don't update the cards, so it's still like pre-errata Brain Control in like Edison format, if they were to do an Edison format event, for example. So it really becomes an issue in a lot of ways, and I'm really just not a fan of erratas for that reason. Like, you can always just make a new card that does something similar, or you just leave the card banned, it's like fine. But this new version of Summon Sorceress shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't think there'll be too much of a problem with it moving forward at all. I don't really think there's that many decks I'd be very excited to play this card in, which is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, it's definitely at least better than the old broken version being legal. Alright. I haven't actually talked about Hallow or Ween, these new cards coming out. I'm going to read Hallow and basically just know that these are effectively the same card. Just anywhere it would say Fiend on Hallow, it says Zombie on Ween. So, Hallow, the Spirit of Tricks, or Ween, the Spirit of Treats. Ween is a light zombie, but Hallow is a dark fiend. Both say if this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate this effect. If you still control this face-up card, your opponent chooses one of these effects for you to apply. For Hallow, this card gains the 800 attack for each fiend monster currently in your graveyard, or inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each fiend monster in your graveyard. For Ween, it would be gains the 800 attack for each zombie in your graveyard, or inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each zombie in your graveyard. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send one monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. This effect is actually different. Ween's last effect says if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one monster from your opponent's graveyard to your field. So these cards aren't like particularly great. However, I will say, and a lot of people have already kind of picked up on this, that there is definitely some OTK potential here. So the idea is that you can either load up a lot of fiends or zombies in the graveyard respectively, and then if you summon one of these monsters while you control Catapult Turtle, no, it would have to be Catapult Turtle, right? Oh, but Catapult Turtle is banned in Master Duel. I just remembered that. It's legal in some out of paper formats, but the idea is that like you can either force your opponent to take the burn while you have enough of your respective type in the graveyard that would, deal 8k or more, or you summon a giant Hallow or Ween that has enough attack points to, in paper formats, launch with Catapult Turtle, but an MD, I guess, would have to like run over a small monster. Maybe there's another way you can FTK with it, but regardless, outside of that specific application, as adorable as these cards are, and I really do love these artworks, I really don't think they're going to be that great or have too much of a meta impact, right? God, when I first saw the arts for these cards and they were spoiled for the OCG, I thought we were getting more Alive Twins. I was so excited, but no, these cards are again, art-wise, very, very cool, but effect and power level-wise, probably just not going to see that much play outside of like maybe a cute FTK deck. So they also, I don't know if it's in here or not, but they do have a spell card that is, I assume, going to be in the same set as these two that searches them. It's literally just a normal spell card that is like you can either add Hallow or Ween from your deck to your hand. So if that FTK does end up becoming a thing, alright, I guess it's that much more consistent. But, again, I don't think these cards are necessarily good enough to, one, warrant play in general outside of an FTK, or two, warrant also playing a spell card that searches for exactly them. But you might have seen when I scrolled past those other two cards just now that there are actually more new cards coming to this pack. I was anticipating this was going to be more of a reprint pack, but I still think this will likely end up being mostly a reprint pack, because they don't really talk about any dedicated archetypes here, but more specific cards. Let's just go ahead and dive into these cards here. One of them is going to be pretty huge, maybe not immediately, but definitely at some point in the relatively near future. That is Moon of the Closed Heaven. That is going to be a Light Fiend Link 2 monster with 1,200 attack points. The material requirements are 2 effect monsters. You can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls this card points to. This turn, if you Link Summon a Link 5 monster using this card you control, you can also use that monster your opponent controls as material. So, as it might be pretty obvious from the artwork, this is like a mini White Woman jump scare, which is, of course, going to be the underworld goddess of the closed world. So, basically, the idea here is that you can use Moon of the Closed Heaven along with one of your opponent's monsters to help make the underworld goddess. And underworld goddess, also has the effect that you can use one of your opponent's monsters to make it. So I think that means you get to use a total of 2, right? I'll just go ahead and just not make a new deck, but we'll just go ahead and search goddess here. So I don't remember the exact text on underworld goddess. It's you can also use one monster your opponent controls as a material to link summon this card. Yep, that's what it was. So if you're actually making the underworld goddess with the I don't know, hang on, there's the notifications. But if you're actually making the underworld goddess with the Moon of Closed Heaven, was that what it was called? Moon of the Closed Heaven, yeah. Then you actually get to use 2 of your opponent's monsters in order to summon it. You do have to use one other of yours, right? Because it's a Link 2 plus 2 of your opponent's monsters, assuming they're not Link 2 or higher monsters, would be 4 total Link arrows, then you need 1 more. But this card isn't even necessarily anticipated for that interaction. It's actually because it is a generic Light Fiend Link 2, which means it is a very, very easy way to help access your Fiendsmith engine, which of course Fiendsmith is not in Master Duel currently, but whenever it does end up dropping, which will happen again at some point in the relatively near future, you better believe that Moon of the Closed Heaven becomes very important. Because again, this is a generic Link 2 that ends up being a Light Fiend. Again, very, very helpful for that Fiendsmith package there. So, even if you don't have plans to play this card currently with just the Underworld Goddess, it's definitely worth considering picking it up for future purposes. So we do have one more card to talk about here that's going to be a new Gold Pride card in a Synchro at that. So that's pretty exciting. Gold Pride, of course, being an archetype that's pretty good with Punk, which is also pretty Synchro based. So definitely worth noting on 2 fronts there. I also noticed that it's generic, so, you already had me with Synchro Monster, and then if it's an excuse to play Punk, then I'm definitely even further on board. Let's go ahead and read this card here. Gold Pride Eradicator is going to be a level 8 Dark Warrior Synchro monster with 2,700 attack and 1,700 defense. Material requirements are generic, as I alluded to before, simply 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target 1 fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link monster on the field, or if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can target 2, destroy them. You can only use this effect of Gold Pride Eradicator once per turn. Once per turn during the end phase. If the previous effect was activated this turn, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon 1 Gold Pride Eliminator from your deck or graveyard. So, like the rest of the Gold Pride archetype, every Gold Pride monster has a main deck monster and then a corresponding extra deck monster. So, Eliminator is going to be Eradicator's corresponding main deck monster. We don't have an official spoiler for that here yet, but if we wanted to, we really could just go ahead and search it, right? In fact, you know what? Let me, whoops, that was the wrong tab there. Let me, in fact, go ahead, Gold Pride Eradicator. Because if I recall correctly, too, these are the only 2 new Gold Pride cards that are coming out, right? Or no, it's Eliminator is the one I want, because that's the, I'm looking for the main deck monster here. So here we go. And then let's full screen that. There we go. So Gold Pride Eliminator, which obviously we know is going to be coming out as well, is a level 5 Machine Earth Tuner. with 1800 attack, 800 defense. It says, if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can banish one other Gold Pride monster from your hand, face-up field, or graveyard. Special summon one Gold Pride token, which is a machine dark attack 0 defense with the same level I see as that banished monster. Also, this card can be used as material for a fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon this turn, except for a Gold Pride monster. You'll use each effect once per turn. So, the ability to make tokens is pretty cool, especially the fact that you can adjust the level depending on what you banish. It's not hard to banish Gold Pride cards from your graveyard, and you could banish a 3 like Captain Carey, or I think Leon is also a 3, and then that ends up being pretty good for making the level 8 Eradicator, right? So, yeah, no, I think that this card is pretty decent. It's actually a pretty solid end board card because of the quick effect. It is some pretty decent disruption. Like, even if your life points aren't lower, which they're going to be because it's a Gold Pride deck and that's what the deck's all about, still being able to target one of your opponent's extra deck monsters and destroy it as a quick effect is pretty good. And being able to target 2, I think, is even better. So, of course, naturally. So, yeah, I think this card has some pretty high potential. Now, currently, Gold Pride is in a pretty sorry state. To be totally honest with you, I don't even necessarily think that Gold Pride is, like, the best way to play Punk. I think that Punk decks without Gold Pride actually do end up being better. And unfortunately, you know, when it comes to Gold Pride as a deck, Punk really is its best variant, which is kind of awkward, right? So, will this make Gold Pride Punk the best Punk variant? I would guess probably not. I'll still try it out, of course, once this card comes out, but, yeah, I mean, as cool of an archetype as Gold Pride is, and it really is a really, really cool archetype, I really think it struggles in a lot of ways, mostly its card power level. So, and again, like I said, while this card is pretty solid, I don't think it alone is enough to raise Gold Pride up to, again, even really a point where I think it's the best Punk variant, let alone like a solid deck in its own right. But again, I will be trying it out. And I don't think it's bad necessarily, I just don't think it's like great, so. Alright. Now, as was alluded to in one of the previous notifications, we have another one here talking about a new Tryout Duel. Rental competition Hallow and Ween. Tryout Duels are, of course, the mini events that are only up for a few days, right? So the event details, this is an event in which duels are played with loaner decks that include either Hallow, the Spirit of Tricks, or Ween, the Spirit of Treats. If you select the deck including Hallow, it will be added to your hand at the start of the duel, and likewise with the deck including Ween, the Spirit of Treats. The duration will be after the update drop, I'm assuming, where the new pack comes out, through the 30th, and then you can claim the rewards through Halloween. So, that's actually pretty fun. I will say, and this is a pretty common thing that a lot of people do say, is that there should be more events, whether they're trial duels or festivals, where you're forced to use a loaner deck, because when you can build anything, it kind of becomes this problem where, you know, the event is reduced down to, all right, what's the best meta deck that still fits the event requirements, you know? And while I do like playing competitively, I do also think there definitely comes a time when it's best to just kind of take a break from that, right? And just, you know, chill a little bit. And, you know, I think festivals and tryout duels are a pretty good example of that. So, glad to see that they are including loaner decks only. And you always open with Hallow or Ween, so that's also kind of fun that you get to, you know, see what all is, see what you can do with the respective cards in their decks, you know? So, yeah, little tryout duel coming up pretty soon there. And yeah, we already talked about Summon Sorceress, so. Yeah, that pretty much covers, I think, everything to talk about relating to this new pack. I currently don't have any plans to open this pack. I guess we'll see what other new cards end up being in here. I've seen some people say that, like, oh, Moon of the Closed Heaven is in here. Maybe Fiendsmith will be in this pack, too. I would be extremely surprised if Fiendsmith was in this pack. I think any pack that would have Fiendsmith in it would definitely feature it. Like, Engraver is one of, like, the front 5 cards, right? So, maybe I'll be wrong, but I would be extremely shocked if we did see Fiendsmith come in this pack. From what you've seen here, I imagine it'll have, like, any new cards it'll have, I would guess would probably be, like, random stuff that just hasn't come out yet. Like, small, individual cards or maybe archetype updates that are only like a couple of cards like Gold Pride here. As it stands, just looking at these 5, I'd probably just craft Moon of the Closed Heaven, and then, because I want to try Gold Pride, I'd craft Eradicator, and then just kind of call it a day from there. But we'll see what happens when the pack actually drops. So, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate you watching until the end, and if you like this style of video, and you want to see more like it, you know, where we talk about OCG stuff, as well as like TCG exclusive cards and whatnot, definitely check out patreon.com/hexlex. And yeah, I think that'll do it. Like I said, let's just move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.